If you can tell someone something, they'll listen, but if you can show it to them, they'll believe you. That's why I studied design. Back in 2019, I realized that I was playing the wrong strategy. The new strategy after I realized this is people first, project second, payment last. Anytime I've done it differently, it's been a complete disaster, or I just haven't been fulfilled. And I've learned over years is that like you can have a terrible idea, but if you have great people, then you can make a terrible idea great, maybe even pivot to something greater. But if you have an amazing idea with terrible people collaborating, it doesn't matter how great it is. It will likely fail.
If we were to look at the AI tools, knowing that people now have a plethora of options, there is more competition for me, there's more competition for you. Do you feel like you can hold that line?
The interesting thing about AI is that, yes, people will go and try to get this work done faster, cheaper, wherever they can, right? But what they don't get is
So, Will.
Hello.
We've shared a lot of spaces together, and we go way back, and a lot of our conversations are about life and design, and often when we talk, sometimes we say, this should be a podcast. So I thought when my producer said, hey, we should talk about design and authenticity and building and what it takes, the first person I thought about was definitely you, because we go way back to our Webflow days where we got to sell together. And I just noticed really quickly you're the best in the game. And it's not because you even try to be. You are extremely authentic. You're extremely talented. You have both that grit and the rigor, but then just the softness to see people and not just your team, but customers where they're at in whatever journey that looks like. And so I have the privilege to witness that firsthand selling with you. You had my back in every single sales cycle we had together in the design space. So today I just want to take this space and just move our normal Zoom hangouts to this space with some chairs and some candles, and just kind of dive into your business and design and how you see the world and how you saw the world. How did that evolve into a business for you? A really successful business, and one I'm really proud to champion and proud to know you. So that's kind of what I want to do today. Are you in?
I'm in. I'm ready.
So I guess where I would love to start is kind of just laying out the story, because I feel like the world of design is ever changing. It's scrappy. It's quite personal. It's somewhat objective, somewhat subjective. Can you tell me a little bit about how your career started, corporate world, what you gained from that, but then why you kind of pivoted to do your own thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's a loaded one. I'll make a short story long.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, Mo, it's a pleasure to be here with you, sharing the stage. This is a beautiful studio. I love it. Such a great opportunity. I'm gonna enjoy every moment of this.
Same.
So let's start off by saying this. I've always been really curious and not frustrated, but when there's something that I gravitate towards initially because there's this knowledge gap, I try to go as hard and fast as I can in that direction, because I know that that's all that it takes. It's the distance between what you want and what already exists. It's just time and effort. That's the way that I've always looked at things in a way. And I think that's the interesting perspective coming from an immigrant, family where, you might have scarcity as like your initial thought. You can break through that by just constantly banging on your craft and moving in the direction that you wish to go. And so let's start with that. When I want to say maybe like 7 or 8, I remember just...
You were probably so cute.
I was probably really annoying. In fact, I know this to be true. My aunt, she told my wife, she was like, when I met Will for the first time, he didn't sprint anywhere. He leaped and did flips. Like that's what he did.
That's so on brand for you. I love that.
But yeah, going back, the thing that's interesting about the transition from Cuba over to the US is that I didn't speak English, right? So being like 7, 8, going into age 9 when I was in the US, language was a big thing. I needed to learn it. I came to the U.S. knowing where's the bathroom in 100. How does that serve me? Not at all. So when I got here, there was just an obvious gap, right? And so that was where my first point of friction was that I really felt, where I wasn't able to articulate what it was that I needed to do, or what I wanted to do, right? And so it manifested where my first day at school, right? I went to recess, and then all the kids like just ran around. And then after class or after recess, all of the kids lined up. And it was only because I understood the language of unifying students and, lining up. Yeah. That's how I knew.
Context clues.
Right. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's my crew.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult for me. And so I did everything that I could to learn English as fast as I could during the time. Which later, if I can fast forward a little bit, when I got to high school, that was when I had the opportunity to do speech and debate. I was like, hey, listen.
We're a team on that, remember?
You did speech and debate as
well. I think this is why we were like, we love words. We love articulation.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's like true love language. So
it's such a superpower.
It is.
Right?
It is.
And yeah, so in high school, I did door-to-door sales. And while I was doing that, I was just double dipping with speech and debate. And there I learned about culture and characteristics and weird quirks about cultures and people, right? So when I hung out with my Afghan friends, it was Salam Alaikum, Shitorasten, Khubastam, right? Or my Indian folks, it was Kyale Bhai Saab, Dik Tak, Acha. Or my Spanish friends, Hola amigo, ¿cómo está?
I mean, talented man we have.
Right. So it was like that like ability to communicate and understand, not from your perspective, but from the culture of the person that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
I'll follow up on that later, because that's what design is. You're designing for the person. And if you don't know them at a fundamental level, who are you designing for? Yourself? That's not design, that's art. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's good.
That's why I was double dipping with speech and debate and the sales side. But fast forward, I don't want to spend too much time on that. Later, the last thing I wanted to mention about the whole, like, how my whole business started. When I got to college, I did speech and debate in college as well. That was when
You're such a one-upper.
I was I know, you loved it. You loved it. I was passionate. So there I realized that a lot of my peers, they can articulate what they had in their mind. And that was a superpower that I started to learn, and I was competent at it. But what I realized is if you can tell someone something, they'll listen. But if you can show it to them, they'll believe you. That's why I studied design. Yeah. Because I can communicate it, but then I can also show it to someone. And that's basically what brewed up for me to be able to do what I'm doing now, is that I can almost juggle both sides. It's like the empathy of culture and people, the ability to show someone, and then the ability to communicate an idea.
Yeah. What I think is interesting about that is typically, and speaking from, I think we've always been aligned in this, that a bit of that lack mindset, or like kind of bottom to the top grit mentality that we have. I know I personally struggled to have a voice in that and have an authority in a space where you kind of had to. You're saying, I wanted to do this authentically. I needed to know them so I can design for them. But what I've always known about you and Zaval Media is that you don't just take anyone. You don't just work with anyone. You're quite strategic about the projects you work on, the people you work with, the people you hire. So you've had to create some sort of authority around your practice, your craft, which I can't imagine was very easy when you're kind of just feeling lucky to be there. Like, can you talk a little bit about like how you gained that voice? Like, because I wouldn't say, and correct me, actually push back on me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't say you're confrontational.
No, not at all.
So, but you still are particular. So, and especially with your work, like there's been people that are like, I need a new website. I would never send them your way. And then there's some people like Leica, like the company I work for, that I'm like, oh, you have to meet this guy. So you're particular, you found a voice, you own the authority on it. But I can't imagine that would just happen overnight.
I think anyone can have a point of view, but to really cultivate a voice that is consistent, right? It takes time and also conviction, which is something I want to talk about with this whole space of AI. I think the two things I'm trying my hardest to avoid right now in this AI space is I never want to lose my conviction and I never want to lose my prudence.
What risk, right? Because you also want to be innovative. You want, if people want vibe coding, like they want vibe, you know, you also want to be relevant. Like how do you hold those in tandem?
I'm saying you could do both. You can use these tools and chase your way through any type of industry and become probably world class at it. But the two things that I'm talking about is being able to make good decisions. I want to make sure that the AI, if it's making a decision for me, whether that be design, text, whatever, strategy based, I never just want to follow what it says and not have a point of view based off of my own intuition and what I know works if I go out and do research, right? So I'm trying very carefully not to let that happen. But then also, I mean, like your conviction, having a very strong opinion and know that's something that has carried me through because in the face of adversity or in the face of someone who is maybe more experienced or maybe a higher title, more salary than the younger me would be like, this person has it figured out. They know more than I do.
Yeah.
But that's not always true. And so over time, I think what inevitably happens is when you find your voice and you build that up enough, you start to realize what actually is truth versus popularity.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're both parents. I think this has been something we've talked about too. It was just like, we have to model doing this well, not just for our business, in our life. Like, I don't want to have chat open on the kitchen counter and have my kids ask all their funny questions to chat. I want that to be creative and fun and playful. And I hear you saying that too. It's like, I don't want to lose the intuition. I don't want to lose the playfulness because I have a suspicion that it would happen slowly and then all at once.
100% agree with you. And that's why I'm tapping into it now. But to more directly answer your question, I think part of the ways that you, or I in this case, found my voice and learned to believe in it and hear myself speak louder than the world speaking at me is by, like you said, having the ability to be playful and test. So an example of that, for example, right now I told my team, I said, hey, listen, guys, the world is changing so quickly. I don't want you guys to be collateral damage because my inability to act on an opportunity that is here now. So I'm spending 20 to 30% of my time, maybe even more now, literally playing with tools, playing with all of the AI nonsense that is out there. Every day there's something new.
Every day. Do you love that or hate that? Like, I feel so mixed.
It's overwhelming. Whiplash on a daily.
Yeah.
But I like it because...
Do you feel threatened?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel vulnerable. Yeah. Any moment, we can get wiped out. And I'm like, okay, let me just...
I think that's a really vulnerable place to be, to put something that you're saying that you built brick by brick with authenticity, with intuition. Yeah. And you're plugging it in and you're kind of impressed with what you're seeing.
I'm impressed, but the more that I play with these tools, the more that like, for example... 6 months ago, I was a little worried about this vibe coding thing, and how AI can generate designs and all of that. Yeah. I've been playing with it for a long time now, and I realize you still need to have taste. You need to be able to articulate to the agent or the AI, whatever, what it is that you're trying to build.
Right.
And on top of that, you have to QA test it.
Yeah.
So those skill sets exist today, just a different fragmentation of it. So now it's easier to build at scale so you can test your ideas faster. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for people like you, me, who have an idea or a point of view to test out at the speed of thought almost, or at the speed of communication, what it is you're trying to build. Here's an interesting thought. Well, I'm just going to give you like the consciousness dump that just came up.
That's what we love. That's what we love.
When I think about these tools and after playing with them for as long as I have, I'm thinking about the business operator, maybe like a person, like a one-person company who did aerial footage.
Okay, I'm in.
They would hire a helicopter, a pilot, expensive equipment. Maybe they own the equipment. And then all of that time to do this work. They could get one commercial in, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the drone came out. And then all of a sudden, that one person was able to do 10 videos per day.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the optimistic way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. It's scaling. It's doing whatever we can do better.
Right.
I think about this a lot since stepping into this role at Leica, and trying to be okay with holding both, which is design should be authentic. It should be human-centered.
Yeah.
And AI can help me, and it can optimize, and it can make me run faster. It can take my playfulness, my winsomeness, and it can duplicate it or at least give it some speed that I don't have. So I try to lean into that as well, but it's kind of a constant gut check, because ultimately I'm working for a company that we're trying to really try to find that phrasing that's like human-centered AI.
Yes.
And like, and so when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, but seriously, because to your point, if we're scaling creatives for a high fashion brand, that brand means everything to them. Like they built that brand. I own a company. I stare at textiles. Every thread matters. Yeah. And so to just hand over the keys in any instance, I think is kind of reckless. And so there does need to be this human-centeredness. But I worry that we'll lose it if we shout from the rooftops that like AI is the end all be all.
Right, 100%. Question for you. So you've done quite a lot of Admiral things that maybe the audience knows, but I've been following your journey for some time. The one interesting thing that I love about your story is you've built a brand and a company around a stage in life that you were at. So you're a mother, obviously. Can you walk me through a little bit about like how does sales, your past decisions, speech and debate, all of these things fit together now with your role that you have? I
love that it mirrors yours a lot. Really, it's that I saw a thing and I said, well, I'm gonna get that thing. I like, why not? Why wouldn't I? Yeah. I think, people refer to it as high agency. I value high agency so much. I
love it.
I think this idea of if I can see it in my mind's eye, I can make it come to life. And when being pregnant and then, living in San Francisco at the time, everything's so aesthetic and beige and beautiful and like energetic. And then I'm pregnant and I just want a cute hipster hat for my baby. And I'm like, why do they have Mickey Mouse on them? Like, no offense to that mouse. He is a legend, but like, this is not my aesthetic. Yeah. And so, getting to sketch things out and call my brother and have him invest and call it kinship and really see something from a tech pack that I had someone on Fiverr do for me, because I'm not that thing. I did not go to school for fashion, but making it work, it makes you unstoppable in sales. Like if you can bring something to life that only existed in your head, that is like, to me, that is winsomeness. That is high agency. That's playfulness. That's something that's how I want to parent. That's how I want to lead. And that's how, and to be honest, and to bring it back, it's like how I want to use AI. I want to put all of this fun and vision, and I want to save time, like all the mistakes I made. One of the first hats I ever did, the inside label, I did it in Word, and the little red squiggly line for like the misspelled word showed up. Like I sent that to my manufacturer and it came on the hat, the red like underline.
They embroidered it?
They embroidered it in the inside of the hat. Gosh. It's just like, maybe AI can help me not do that. But those are just things that I love that I learned. I love that I can giggle at. I want my kids to never take that shortcut of the AI only, because how much fun did we have building? How much fun did we have bringing stuff to life? Yeah. And it does bring that confidence in sales. I can be told no all day by my kids all day, and by prospects or AI naysayers. I'm in a space that's going to create some friction. Like people are going to say AI models are not authentic. And I'm going to say, well, how can we do it well? Because it's going to happen. So how can we do it well? So yeah, I think it all comes back to like, how can AI help the playfulness, not deter it?
It's really interesting. I like that you took the angle because you work full time, but you also have this side thing that you do. So you get the opportunity to be authentic in two different ways. Similar to me, thinking about like my past working in-house as a designer, the authenticity, and this is where I'll probably get a little bit more vulnerable here. I wanted to get my dream job or that dream promotion.
Yeah.
But I realized that all of those things that lived out there were just this like fatuous, non-tangible. Yeah, it was real. Once you get a promotion, it's there. You see it in a dollar sign, but it all comes back to the people.
Yeah.
And so the authenticity side of what you just shared with me is like there was this need that you wanted to solve for, and you realize you weren't the only parent that wanted this for their kid.
Yeah.
And you also do this. I remember when I first met you, along with many Webflow account executives, like you and a few others stood out because you were just so human, right? And I think naturally those are the people that I gravitate towards.
You do.
And there's no like metric that I try to hit. It's more of like an intuitive gravitational pull towards that person. I'm like, they're my people.
They're my people.
You know?
Yeah.
That's super cool. And you can derive that same emotion from a product or service too, with the volume of work or the type of product that you're selling.
How though, as a business owner, because I know this for a fact, that I know because we've talked and you looked like you went through it that day and you turned down projects. Like talk to me about what has it ever been a mistake, or is that something you like genuinely stand by? That feels it feels like a wild concept to be picky when you're a business owner. Like, you know, you've kind of always heard any revenue is good revenue. You do not see it that way. You've been really clear with me that that's not how you see your business. And I find that so interesting. If you want to dive into that at all.
Absolutely. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Back in 2019, I realized that I was playing the wrong strategy. The new strategy after I realized this is people first, project second, payment last. Anytime I've done it differently, it's been a complete disaster, or I just haven't been fulfilled. And sure enough, over time, I start to become a lesser version of who I want to be. Yeah. And then something will happen, whether the contract ends, I'll get laid off, or like I'll get fired, whatever, right? Yeah. And that's just real. That was my realization. It could be different for other people. But the reason today why I turn clients down is because not all revenue is good revenue. And that's been more of a focus this year, because in the trajectory of an agency that's scaling, you have to take projects to pay for your team. Otherwise, you know what I mean?
And you care so much about that. So that's why I think it surprises me, because you look out for them. Like, talk about, these are my people. You handpick them. You care deeply. And so I think that shows in your work somehow. Like, that shows when I go through your clients' websites. And I think that's so cool that there's a dotted line there.
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. To keep it brief, I realized very early on that when I accept the client, I'm not accepting the client. I'm accepting the client for my team. Yeah. They're the ones that are going to be working with this individual. And it doesn't matter how much we get paid. If they're going to come in and potentially be aggressive, because my team is not like, we're not aggressive, confrontational at all. Yeah. Right. And if something would come up, they wouldn't know how to behave. They're like, oh my gosh, like I'm, you know, because they're just there to add value. It's very consultative. Like there's zero selling in my pitch. And I even say this. I tell people on my calls, I'm like, listen,
I know, I've seen
sales call.
And then I'm like, yes, it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's a great client, 100%, I'll be honest and I'll tell them, I'll be like, listen, I really like your energy. I know we can knock it out of the park. If there's a budget that you need to meet and you think that we're the right fit, let's talk about it.
Wow, that feels so dicey to me to open that door. I mean, almost in my sales practice. And I can't imagine opening that can of worms of like, let's find a way. It's negotiation, but
Right.
I think that's an interesting part of your business that that is quite vulnerable. And I think probably surprising for them when they're like, oh, actually I've seen it. I can't say a customer, who the customer is, but large, well-known enterprise company. And I remember you saying, well, we're going to make it work. And at the time we were sharing whatever budget they had. You and I were sharing that.
That's right. Yeah.
So you were half doing it for me, half doing it for them, and somehow walked this razor's edge of not devaluing your work, because that's the risk there, is saying, oh, you only have $5. Here's my brilliance for $5. It doesn't come off like that. So it's unique to your business. I'm curious, have you ever fired a client?
Ooh, you're going to go there, huh?
I mean, people need to feel the heat if they work with you.
Fair enough. Yes, I have. It's not something I'm proud of. It's not
Why
something
not?
I wanted to do. Right?
But would you say you're not proud of it? Would you stand by that?
Well, there's this like, if you put the ego into it, going independent, being your own boss, entrepreneurship, whatever you want to call it, you do have this knee-jerk reaction that you can exercise.
Yeah.
Which is, you don't need that customer. You don't need that client because you have others.
Yeah.
But you don't want to act in that way for many reasons, because then the authenticity of who you are will fade. And, my authentic self is like, I want to serve, lead with that and empathy.
Yeah.
But the truth is, not everyone that comes in through the door ends up being that way. That, you might have an amazing sales cycle and that person ends up leaving the company and someone else takes over.
Yeah.
You can't control that. The same way that when you work in-house, there might be a reorganization and all of a sudden you have a different boss or a different team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you work in-house, you have to quit. Like that's all you can do, or you just tough it out or move to a different team. Unfortunately, in my position, I have had to, I think I probably only had to do it twice.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, and it's been like 6 years. So
it's a big deal.
happy about that.
They're like, take my money. And you're like, I don't want it.
Right. Yeah. So here's if anyone is listening to this right now and wants to become a client, right? Because they look at our
Yeah,
site.
don't be scared, but
Yeah.
be slightly scared.
Right. The thing for me is like, if you are disrespectful to my team, immediately I'm going to remember that. I'm not going to act on it. I'm not going to fire you on the spot, but truly, like if someone's going to be an asshole, like that's just not going to work. That's not what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, asshole's not the brand.
Yeah. And from going back to the ego, I do have a sense of ego because I want to control two things. Who I work with and how long I work with them.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position where I can't do that, which is, again, privilege. But yeah, I've had to fire people who, have left the company and then someone else have come in and they're either disrespectful or they just don't want to collaborate. And I've learned over years is that like, you can have a terrible idea, but if you have great people, then you can make a terrible idea great, maybe even pivot to something greater.
Yeah.
But if you have an amazing idea with terrible people collaborating,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't matter how great it is.
Yeah.
It will likely fail because the energy is going to be weird.
Yeah.
You
And
just don't
we're
wanna be
big energy people. Like
Yeah.
we don't go with the flow well if there's bad vibes.
Right, for sure.
I can almost guess which client it was, but I won't because we're more tactful than that.
Yeah.
But I think it does say, I think coming from a sales perspective, the posture I've tried to move away from is I need them, because that is a very toxic power dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're kind of calling out is like, I don't need you. And I would say there is that dynamic in any type of industry, but being in the sales seat where I'm like, you should buy this, and they think she needs me. I've had to really fight against that everything from, the old VP at Webflow, who's a dear friend,
Yeah.
Kai Mack, used to say, don't thank people for their time, and not because it's not valuable, but because your time is valuable, and you are valuable.
Yeah.
So you have to sit across from these people, showing and having a posture that you have something to give. And I think that's true of your business. And it's really hard when people step on that and they say, no, you need me. And then you say, goodbye.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting you bring up Kai. We connected not too long ago.
Yeah.
Kai is one of my favorite people still.
Yeah.
He actually, when I was getting started, he sent me a lead, and that client is still a client.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they were the client I fired.
No.
I'm like, no.
No, it's been 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
And that client is still with us.
Yeah, because good people will recommend good people. And I think that's the beauty of a network. And that's, I think you should not be ashamed of. You said you weren't proud of it. Would you edit that? Would you revise that at all? Like after kind of saying out loud the why? Because I feel proud of you for having that stance, for being that protective, for understanding the nuances of, I have to protect my team. I imagine like trying to find like a babysitter for my kids, and it's like, oh, well, she's cheap, she's evil, but she's cheap. It's like I can't imagine putting people that I deeply care about in a situation that was just like surface level beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, I don't take it back at all, for sure. Like if that's the question, I don't take it back.
Yeah.
It made us better. It made me feel better about the whole situation.
Yeah.
It was a great decision overall.
Yeah. And I'm curious, if we were to look at the AI tools, knowing that people now have a plethora of options, do you feel like you can hold that line? Because there is more competition for me, there's more competition for you. We don't get lost in that fear, but yeah, I'm curious if you can, like, if you think you'll ride that out, that ethos.
Yeah. So I say this in a position of privilege right now, because I didn't premeditate this. It just sort of happened organically. Want to be honest about that. There's no like prolific genius. I just didn't give up, and I just kept going until it made sense, and then it worked out.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about AI is that, yes, people will go and try to get this work done faster, cheaper, wherever they can, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't get is a team that has breadth, where if they were to do it internally, they would have depth. But they have blinders. They're not getting the information that we get working across 50 plus clients per year. And so there's almost that intrinsic value that they feel when they make the decision to work with us that AI can't solve for. Unless you prompt it, but then you
prompt it again.
might be, and then it'll say, oh, you're absolutely right. I apologize for that mistake. I'm sure you've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
To be honest, I kind of like it. I'm like, is chat my hype man?
Right. But I still, one thing is 100%, and this will not change. I still believe the Webflow is the number one CMS platform in the market. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. To me, the superpower that brought me to Webflow was the ability for a designer to articulate what they have in their mind out through voice or whatever. They pitch the idea, but then they can sit down and have development superpowers. That's where I started. Where Webflow is at today is now it's giving those same superpowers to marketers. And so if you think about from my business and how we're going to continue to thrive, and in my opinion, I think we're just going to get better and bigger.
Yeah.
Marketers have their skill set. We have our skill set, and the tools are going to evolve. They're going to change. But the underlying like value that comes out of collaboration, and AI can't do this yet, is people know their subject matter expertise really, really well, and that's who we work with. We work with small, of course, medium and large size companies. The smaller teams that don't have the capital will use these tools and probably get frustrated when it doesn't work out, and eventually either grow or flop, right? And if they do grow, they'll become big enough to be able to afford a team versus like one freelancer or everyone doing it in-house. where we're positioned, and this is going back to what I was saying, a position of privilege. We've built a brand over all these years. We didn't start today,
Right.
where things are like kind of shaky. We built enough of a brand where when people search us, they are like, you guys have been doing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Webflow,
You earned your stripes.
yeah, Webflow has been part of our ethos from day one. We weren't like Framer or, WordPress. Those are fantastic tools.
Yeah. I've heard Framer's getting some hype, and I'm naturally protective of Webflow. So
100%.
but it has been interesting because it's almost a version of we can do it better. We can, it's easier. I mean, because wouldn't people say that Framer's easier UX UI for designers? It's just this concept of this is easier, so I'm going to do the easier thing. And that is such a slippery slope, right? Because you lose something along the way with easier. Which let's be clear, I love easy. I have 3 kids. Like mac and cheese for dinner, sure. Like dino nuggets for days. Like we like easy. Yeah. It's not that. It's just it's more keeping the pace of, or I guess holding the bar of excellence with easier that's a tough one.
Right.
I want to figure it out though, to be honest. Like it is something that if I could have both, like I want that. I want that authenticity for Zabal. I want it for Leica and kinship. But there is a world where I feel like there's just not enough hours in a day. And, there's a temptation to take shortcuts and dress up the shortcuts in whatever they need to look like. So, I don't know if you experience that too. Of just like, I want this to work. I want to do 10 times more in my day. I don't know if you share that, but or you're more principled than I am.
No, I mean, where I'm at today is I really only have 2 options: human capital or using technology, right? Using agents. And there's some cool companies out there that are doing some really incredible agent work. And I think Altman even says that the way that they've structured their product now is it can do up to like a week of work, or getting close to about a week of work, something like that in his last interview. And I think that's incredible. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah.
That tech is doing that, right? I mean, you can have like an executive assistant or someone who can support you to some capacity. Yeah. Offloading, even at your home, right? Like you do the dishes at night every night. Maybe I have like someone come help me, so that way I can optimize that time with my kid and build memories and stuff like that.
We talk about parenthood a lot, and we've talked about it in this space, but I think that's definitely an area that taking shortcuts is only going to put them in therapy. So, I mean, hey, right. But we're pro therapy. So.
Right. Hell yeah. Of course. Therapy's helpful.
Remember we said we're more worried about people that are not in therapy than people that are. I'm like, uh-oh. A whole other episode or a beer would be AI therapist, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Whole another one, maybe round 2, episode 2.
Yeah. I have a question about bringing more of your expertise into the world. And so if you were to mentor someone right now to try to help build them up to be even better at their craft than you are, which is hard, but let's envision it for a second. What would you prescribe them to fully dive into, lean in, run fast, and whether it's a tool or a practice that you would really recommend that they do?
Yeah, I have a few. So if we're talking about like tactical, right? So being able to build software, automations, things of that nature, I would say I would focus on these core areas. So first and foremost, it's never been easier to build software, both internal tools, like I built a bunch of internal tools using Lovable, right? Build internal tools for whatever it is that you're doing to solve for needs that you currently have. Like if you're using Google Sheets for something, how can you make a product out of it? And then leverage that tool, right, to solve that problem for yourself. Automation would be the next one. So I'm using a lot of tools like Zapier, obviously, Make, NAN. Lindy is another one that's incredible. So those are like the 2 things from like a tactical perspective. You can automate a lot of things, but you can build internal dashboards. So like with absolute confidence, I can tell you right now we have 21
Yeah.
enterprise clients and a 58% conversion rate, meaning when they sign a contract, they've renewed. The reason why I know this is because I built a product for it using Lovable. Right?
That's cool.
And so you can start to solve these problems for yourself by using technology that already exists.
Yeah.
And from the soft skill side, I would spend a lot more time with people that need what you're doing and giving it for free without any expectation, right? So go to a school that has a really bad website and say, hey, are people signing up for your programs?
They're like, no.
What would it look like if I spent 3 months with you and like just solved this problem? Can we do that together without any expectation? And I'd done that this past year, and I got invited to their 70th anniversary and got a standing ovation on stage.
That's so cool.
I was not doing that for that
No, I
reason,
know.
right?
I know because I know you, but
Right.
It's just such a mutual gift.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to come by. But I think especially in a mentoring seat where you're like, go learn.
Yep.
1, learn humility. 2, learn how to
also
perfect it.
you're learning how to do something for the work itself versus this thing that you're getting out of it. So that's what I would do. I would give the work freely, and obviously everyone is in different positions. Don't like overstretch or overextend.
Yeah.
But I would focus on that
and add maybe breath work. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then building software using all of these tools, and then automation. If you can do those 3, I think you would find yourself in a really good position, because that's literally what you need to be doing. Once you get to the bottom level, middle level, or highest level, you have to be doing all of those things.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm going to check out. I haven't done anything with Lovable yet, so I'll dive in.
It's a great tool for sure. So Mo, we've been through a lot together. We've worked on a lot of deals. What feedback do you have for me that's a weakness that I may not even be aware of?
Oh, that's mean. I've always adored your humility, to be really clear. I think it's why we hit it off. I think you're extremely authentic. We're vibes people, so that's our thing. But sometimes I think you could take up more space than you let yourself. And I think that might go back to quite literally living in a one-bedroom apartment with your parents and your brother when you were an immigrant. That might come from a space of, I want to take up just enough space to be powerful. But I think you have room and you have expertise and you have just such a genuine hold on how you see the world, that you could take up more space and it would benefit people. And I think your business would thrive, and I think your daughter would thrive from seeing that. And yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean louder, but more space. And maybe that means more spaces that you're talking about design, or or maybe you're saying no more. Maybe you are leaning into that scrappy, controversial self that you have trouble accessing. But that's what I would say.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Backhanded feedback?
No, that was felt. I agree with you, by the way. I wasn't aware of it, but hearing you give it voice, it is something that I can improve upon for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. Well, how can people find you online? And if they make it through the rigorous test, they get to be your client.
There you go. I appreciate that.
What, zabalmedia.com?
Zavalmedia.co. Or you can
.co.
Yep. Or you can look me up on LinkedIn, socials, obviously.
Yeah, give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Good human people.
Yeah. If you can spell my last name, that's the
Can
hard
you
part.
Can you say it? Can you?
So my first name, just to be clear, my first name is not William. It's
Wilian. Oh, of
with
course.
an N for the people that are watching this.
Oh.
And my last name is Iralzabal. It's IRA.
Oh, no wonder I've never tried to say it.
Right. It's a tongue twister. I still don't know how to pronounce
It's so
it.
pretty, though. We need to lean in. That's my other feedback. I think we should change Zaval Media's name to be your full last name that I'm not even going to try to say.
So here's a fun fact really quickly, and then I'll end with this. So my Zaval Media, where it came from was I was sitting down one day at the company that I was working at before I started it, and I was like, man, I gotta think of something. And so I thought, okay, what is half of my last name? Well, it's Iral or Zabal. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to work on media projects. And then I was like, media. In Spanish, media means half. Zabal Media. Zabal is half of my last name.
Your last name. My guy loves words, ladies and gentlemen. My guy loves words. That is a great place to end. So grateful to share space with you and be your friend and be your champion.
You're the best, Mo.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, appreciate you. Till next time.
Till next time.